What we all are aware of is that we are about 6 weeks or so away from Election Day, but who's counting? And you will hear in the days ahead opportunities through Bethel to help get out the vote, for we believe that voting and participating in the voting process is a sacred obligation, a reminder to not separate ourselves from community. And especially when it's election season, more and more yard signs pop up throughout our yards. If you're like us, throughout the year we have many yard signs in our front yard. We have yard signs for politicians and yard signs for policies. In our home, we have yard signs for Israel and yard signs for issues. We have yard signs for people. We have yard signs for causes. We have yard signs for community. My son reminded us that we actually need to order another one. And I'm left wondering why we put yard signs in our yards. Do we put yard signs in our yards so that when people pass by, they know what we stand for and who we support, who are the candidates and the causes that are important to us? Or do we put yard signs in our yards to reaffirm for ourselves what are the values that we stand for, so that we know and we are reminded, because we all need that reminder, what is important to us? Those are the same, but those are also quite different, right? Is it about others, or is it about ourselves? And I ask that question not just because of the season we are in, but interestingly and coincidentally because of the Torah that we heard chanted this morning. In addition to this graphic list of curses and a few blessings, we have this odd command that when the Israelites cross the Jordan River into the Promised Land, they are to set up what the Torah literally says, avanim gedolot, large stones, these massive boulders at the entrance to the Promised Land. It's almost like a welcome sign when one crosses into one land into the other. I imagine it like when you cross, when you're in the Lincoln Tunnel, and you have those tiles that remind you half of underground is New Jersey and half of underground is New York. It's a big welcome sign to let you know that you've entered this new land, the land of Israel. But then, the Torah tells us an additional command. On these boulders, on these stones, we're told in the beginning of Deuteronomy chapter 27, "V'chatavta alehen et kol divrei haTorah hazot," that you should inscribe on them, you should write upon them the entire Torah, all the words of this Torah. And remember, this is Moses' last speech that he's giving the Israelites. The entire book of Deuteronomy is essentially his final words of Torah. He's guided the Israelites all along the way, and he's scared because he knows that he'll be gone soon, and he worries that all these lessons and values that were important to him, that he dedicated his adult life to teaching them, they won't hold on to. And so this instruction to write Torah down on these giant boulders is an instruction for them to be reminded of the values that he wants them to hold dear even when he's gone. But we're told something even further. The Torah tells us that the stones should be plastered over. And in the Babylonian Talmud and Masechet Sotah, there's a debate and there's a suggestion that once the stones are plastered over, the entire Torah should be then written on them. In fact, a suggestion that they were written, the Talmud says, in 70 languages, so that all the people of the world, when they pass by, would see the lessons of Torah that the Jewish people held dear. The Rambam goes as far as to say that it's impossible, unless you are like a micro-calligrapher. If you've ever seen up and down, Ben Yehuda Street or in the old city of Tzfat, where you write words of Torah so small that you need a microscope to actually identify it. Rambam says that it's a miracle in and of itself that they were able to fit the entire Torah in 70 languages in these boulders. But then the Talmud says the opposite may have also been true. That the words of Torah were written on these stones and then they were plastered over. So in fact, nobody was able to read them. We have these two possibilities, these two explanations. One, the words of Torah were written over the plaster so that everybody, especially in all these languages, those who didn't accept that Torah, those who didn't resonate with these values, could learn from them, could understand them. And then the alternative, that these signs, this entranceway, these boulders were plastered over, a suggestion that these words of Torah were really meant to be kept on the inside, that they were for us and us alone. And so I come back to these yard signs we put in our yard, and I would say, yes, and. Right? And they are that first explanation to share with the world what we believe is important, but they are actually that second explanation as well, because we need reminders of what we believe to be important. And that's especially true during this season. This month, the Hebrew month of Elul, we're taught is actually a more important month than the month of Tishrei, when the high holidays take place. Now, once the high holidays are here, they're here. There's no turning back. But we're supposed to spend this entire month of Elul preparing ourselves and our souls, rededicating ourselves to that which is important to us, that which we hold dear. That's not to show off to other people. It's to strive to be a better version of ourselves in the year ahead. That essentially is writing the Torah on those stones and then plastering them over. It's not for anybody else to see, but it's for us. It's a reminder every time we pull in and out of our driveway to see our own yard signs in our own home and be reminded, this is what I care about, this is what I'm passionate about, and this is what I'm going to dedicate myself to. And the other idea is also true, that the Torah was written on these stones in 70 languages to share these values with the world. And so too, we want to scream from the rooftops that which we're passionate about, that which we care about, that which we believe to be holy and sacred. And so, in this season of repentance, in this season when we're committed to spending this month doing what we call cheshbon hanefesh, an eternal recounting of ourselves and our souls, may we focus on what is important to us. May we do that introspection and rededicate ourselves to that which is important to us. So too, we can share that with the world. We don't need big welcome signs in each border of every city and every town, or arguably even our homes, to teach that. But what we need is to rethink the signs within our souls and the signs within ourselves.